Did you get to the Charlotte County Air Show?
I will
No, I
admit,
didn't.
shame
I was
on me. I haven't been
working on
as
a
in the
project
loop as I
that
have been
I
previously on
up
this.
deadline
Kevin
meeting.
Hardy?
I was there. Good morning, all. Lee County Port Authority Board of Port Commissioners will convene. Let's rise for the invocation by Reverend Mark Boyer. Annabelle, congregation.
Hey, everybody. I am Reverend Dr. Mark Boyer, the Senior Minister of Sanibel Congregational United Church of Christ, and I want to thank you for the opportunity to help you begin this morning's monthly meeting.
Thank you.
Thanks for being here.
So with that, I want to start with these words from the letter of James in the New Testament. Who is wise and understanding among you? Show by your good life that your works are done with gentleness born of wisdom. The wisdom from above is peaceable, without a trace of partiality or hypocrisy. So with that, I invite you to now join me in prayer. God of all our days, God of this day, we thank you for the gift of life. We thank you for this beautiful part of your creation in which we are blessed to live and work. We know that your call for the purpose of the work that we do is not just to provide for ourselves or our families, but more importantly, to serve others, to make others' lives better in some way. And so we ask you this day to help that be the call, help that call be the foundation upon which this group of leaders carries out its responsibilities. And may their commitment to that call then lead them during this time today and in all their times together to think clearly, listen carefully, speak respectfully, and always stay focused on the common good. Stay focused not on getting their way, but getting to the best way possible to carry out their responsibilities with true wisdom. And so we ask you, Holy One, to lead them. Lead them to be the leaders we need for the work that they have been called to do. Amen.
Please turn to the flag. I pledge
allegiance to the flag
of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Thank you, sir. We didn't have anything on the recap. We'll go to consent agenda. Items to be pulled.
I have none today, Mr. Chair.
David?
I'm going to pull 17 and 19.
And I'm not going to pull anything, so
Motion to approve the balance?
I'll second that.
I have a motion and a second for the consent agenda to approve the balance. Any public comment? None, I'll close public comment. Any other discussion? Anyone opposed? Motion carries unanimously. David, let's go to 17. Open us up.
All right, well, good morning, gentlemen. I'll ask Emily to review the item, or do you want to present the item?
Sure.
Okay.
So this is requesting board approve a contract amendment to AECom to extend the contract time to allow for construction administration services related to the demolition of the former air traffic control tower at RSW. So this provides a contract term extension to December 31st, 2026, which allows us time to proceed with the hard bidding of the project and will allow AECom to continue to be the engineer of record performing construction administration services during the anticipated construction period.
Okay. Gentlemen, I pulled this item, and just for the record, I had actually bid and participated on this budgeting process prior to being elected, so it's a project that I'm very familiar with, and I would have liked to have done the work before when I was in the private sector, but my concern with this item, and the reason I would like to make a motion not to carry this forward, is that I think this service is unnecessary. The plans and design, it's a demolition project to make a vacant lot. We're just removing the tower. The plans are already ready. They're already 100% in place. There's no revisions necessary to be done. And we're simply, all we need is a Lee County demo permit with one sewer cap inspection and one final inspection to prove that it's a vacant lot when we're finished, right? So I don't know how much engineering is left to be done, but I don't think paying them $108,000 to be on standby for contract administration for what's a 30-day project is not a good use of funds. And I just think it's an unnecessary service, in my opinion.
Okay, I will tell you that this item did go to the April Airport Special Management Committee meeting and was approved. The item was pulled for the May board meeting, but we had negotiated a scope of work with them totaling $108,000, and it was for 152 days of construction. So that item and the CMGC bid that was bid through D'Angelo's Diamond, those two items were pulled together, pulled from the May board meeting.
Okay.
So since then, we decided to hard bid the project. So we're proceeding to, Port Authority's proceeding to hard bid that.
Right.
But we anticipate still the need to have AECom on board to do construction administration during construction if there are questions needed and to provide on-site inspection as needed. But we will take the CA, the contract amendment for AECom, with that scope of services to the board because it hasn't come to the board yet. It was pulled from the May board agenda. So we'll take it when we have the hard bid that the Port Authority bids.
So is this,
This is just
Service.
extending the time because otherwise this contract will expire.
and what's the harm in that?
Then we won't have them as engineer of record anymore under contract.
And what's the risk for a demolition? project?
There's always questions that come up during construction. I know a demo sounds easy. I know you're a demo contractor. But this project is in the vicinity of a lot of complicated navigational aids related to the tower. And we anticipate questions coming up during construction, and we want the A&E on record.
Sure.
Yes.
If I could add, I think some of our consternation, while this is on the top of ground, the toppling the demo of a tower, our concern is what lies beneath. I think it's, if memory serves me correct, about a 10-foot down dig that we have to do as the kind of the Grand Central next to our vault, all of the FAA electrical fiber and conduit that rolls through there. If anything comes up, we wouldn't have a mechanism to address that. So this allows us with that mechanism.
Respectfully, can I just add
Sure.
a little
We're having a dialogue.
A little context, please. I am the leading demolition contractor in Lee County, so I unfortunately I can't do this particular work. I was excited at the chance to do an airport tower at one point. You know, I'm a kid, right? You would get to break stuff and treasure hunt for a living, so I do enjoy our business. But at the same time, demo plans. There's no. I'll bet every GC in this room would tell you there's no such thing as good demo plans. The normal answer when you bid a project is, we don't have. Do you have any as-built? They're like, nope. You know, whatever you find is what you see is what you get. Good luck. Right? And you sign a contract that says you read the plans, the engineer draws these plans, and they say on every sheet, contractor to verify in field actual. This is not guaranteed to be accurate, not guaranteed to be complete, and all the risk is shifted onto the contractor, right? That's what every set of prints tells you. So they know, you know that you're not gonna run over the parts you're supposed to keep, you're gonna remove what you're gonna remove, and the 10-foot deep foundation is no harder or different than a swimming pool or a basement on a house to remove. So there's nothing scary about digging 10 feet deep after you've made a vacant lot and you uncover the slab and you end up with the stem walls of the original building. So you're going to verify all your utilities, you're going to verify all of your things. That's your responsibility as a demo contractor. So I don't see where we're at risk for any of these items. It's just a normal course of business. And to pay them $108,000 to be on standby in case there's a question seems exorbitant to me.
Mr. Chair, may I ask
Absolutely.
some questions? Because I'd like to learn about this. So are they going to get the $180,000 regardless of if we ask them questions or not? Or is it something where they're going to actually invoice us when we ask them questions and they perform work?
The 108,000 was a lump sum agreement that had assumptions tied to it. And in other words, so many hours per week, you know, so many man hours. So I would guess that we would only pay for services rendered as needed.
Well, not when you lump sum bid it.
But it is a lump sum scope and fee. That's how it was negotiated.
So
Why do
can't-
we, can I ask a few questions? Yeah, why do we structure that one that way? Why wouldn't we just pay them for, you know, for time spent on the project?
So just real quick, we don't currently have that contract, correct? That
It was taken to the April Special Management Committee. It was pulled from the May board agenda. So it will come back to the board.
Yeah, so for clarity, this one just provides time, so the contract, the person who engineered everything does not expire, and we can still utilize that. The follow-up contract, once everything is priced, would then come back with the updated pricing to the board. So that is still outstanding. Just to touch on, if I could, Mr. Chair, one of the comments Commissioner Mullica had. The what you see is what you get portion of it is kind of what concerns us, which is why we do something like this.
We have the most beautiful demo plans I've ever seen.
Yeah. Yeah. Good job. But it's the, what do you do with what you find? And for us, we don't want and we can't run the risk of losing potential critical infrastructure, not knowing, just covering something back up. So again, something's designed, you have the various, you know, I mean, again, you have electrical, you have fiber, all kinds of things. It's essentially an assurance insurance plan for us to be able to utilize it just in case. But it is noted the way it was before, which was not brought to the board lump sum. We can definitely address that moving forward.
So, Mr. Chairman, if I may, Mr. Executive Director, so you're saying today's item actually does not have any dollars tied to it, but it's a
Correct.
time-only extension. So
That's-
we're not out any money if we approve the time-only extension.
That is
This
correct.
gets us to where we would get to the contract that would have dollars.
Correct.
And do we still have the ability at this point to change that contract to make sure we're really just paying for services provided? I'd hate to just give somebody money up front if we may never end up using them, or only asking them a handful of questions.
Yeah, we've brought nothing to the board again, as Emily alluded to. It's gone through ASMC, but then we made a decision to pull that back because of other items that we were working through. So we have not brought a contract to the board.
So final question again, so we just need to do this time extension so that we don't lose them as
Correct.
the engineer of record
Correct.
until we can get to that point.
Correct.
Okay.
I still don't understand the risk of loss over a set of prints we already own.
Because we will not be able to go to them and ask questions if questions come up during construction if we no longer have a contract with them. Questions always come up during construction.
And
Always.
We're not building anything.
I understand, but we're disconnecting,
Yes.
we're deconstructing, there's going to be questions.
so, and just, if I may, just for clarity.
Absolutely, sure.
Thank you, sir. If this sunsets and there were questions, wouldn't we have to go back out for a new RFP and redesign it? Or would they, or would one engineering firm likely use the engineer drawings of another? Not a trick
I don't
question.
know how to answer that question right here and now.
Okay,
I mean, we would have to figure it out.
Again, we're not building anything, gentlemen. We're making a vacant lot.
But let me understand, when does this contract expire?
December of 2025.
So I think Commissioner Hammond pinpointed it. The question at hand is to extend the time.
Right.
We potentially have the opportunity, when the contract comes back, to amend, modify, whatever we need to do relative to the cost. So today isn't a cost conversation.
This is correct.
So I want to stay focused, and I appreciate everything you said, David, and I may, and high likelihood that I probably would not move forward with it, but the time frame doesn't have a cost, so the decision I'm making today is no cost. And that's why I don't have as much consternation as you do.
And that's a fair point. And maybe a better motion would be to direct staff to design their service contract to be on an hourly rate basis as needed and be a time and materials kind of arrangement to Commissioner Hammond's point. And if they charge $300 an hour for an engineer to write a letter, then we just pay the bill like an attorney's fee contract.
Just a question, County Attorney.
But not a lump sum, 100 grand.
I would advocate that we make a motion to extend the contract. And if we want to give further direction, can we do that?
please.
Okay. So I appreciate everything you comment. What I'd like to do, David, is have a motion to extend the contract, and then your comments to try to get where we want to.
I'll withdraw my motion to turn down the motion. So I'll make a motion to approve the time extension only and leave that an isolated motion.
I will second it.
The point of pulling it was to have this next conversation. So-
And listen, you bring an area of expertise that neither Commissioner Hammond or I, probably others in this room, probably don't have a grasp for and appreciation of. And, you know, your comments are valuable, and I think it'll be a much more robust conversation when we have the actual contract and we're actually talking about dollars and cents.
Because I had reviewed their previous agreement, I made some assumptions, gentlemen, because that's all I had to work with was what I could find in my own backup. So I just wanted to make sure that motion to approve this time didn't turn into a lump sum contract that fell into our consent agenda in the future and got overlooked. We spent 100 grand for 30 days of standby services. So that was my wish.
Respect your comments and certainly appreciate them very much.
Thank you.
I have a motion, a second. Any public comment? None, I'll close public comment, bring it up here. Any other discussion? Anyone opposed? Motion carries unanimously. 17, out to 19.
So, can I make a second motion?
Oh, absolutely, by all means,
Just to finish up the conversation that we just said.
absolutely.
I wanted us to direct staff to, when they create this service agreement with AECom to do the work, that it's based on a time and materials hourly rate for services as needed basis and not a lump sum fee agreement.
I'll second that motion because I believe, but I'd love to also ask some questions just to clarify that's what we need. But yeah, I'll second that motion. And then, Mr. Chair, if I could jump in there. So I like the spirit of where he's going here. So I know this has got to be tremendously tough for you all to hear because on one hand, we've beat you up so bad over the last year saying you need more oversight, you need more oversight, you need more experts to try and verify that construction, when it's happening, should be happening. And now today we're saying you probably don't really need any extra oversight on this. So I understand how that probably sends mixed messages to you all. But I think what you're really hearing us say is we do appreciate, at least from my seat, I do appreciate you having some oversight and the ability to talk to the engineer if something comes up while this demolition's happening. But I don't want to just pay a lump sum up front. I'd love for the contract to be structured in a way that we just pay for actual services used. So.
No, I think your comments are right on point. I certainly want to pay for it and have the opportunity to just review it, say yes, no, make modifications, do what I need to do. So that seems spirited, that seems appropriate, and I always like paying for what we receive. I don't like giving.
Thank you for that. This job is worth hundreds of thousands of dollars to do in a contract, and $100,000 of insurance against unforeseen. You can dig up a lot of unforeseen footage for $100,000.
I wish I could get paid that way, but I can't.
Me too.
Okay, so we have a motion, we have a second. Any public comment? Seeing none, we'll bring it back up here. Any other discussion? You have clarity?
I do have clarity, sir.
Everybody's good?
Yep.
Okay. Motion carries unanimously. Thanks,
Thank you,
David.
gentlemen.
Appreciate your comments. 19?
Okay, so 19, again, is a relatively benign subject here. But I pulled this one because, as you'll recall from our last meeting, Michael Baker was the engineer that did the estimating for the Pagefield Airport project. And despite being on the project for a year and a half, and multiple opportunities to estimate the project, it came in almost twice the budget of original. And then we had a 95% grant fund, a 5% grant fund, and still managed to spend money out of pocket because of some of these cost overruns, and it caused me some consternation. And this project was awarded to the same firm, and my understanding is it was a contract amendment and not a bid. We didn't bid this out.
This is assigned to one of our continuing general consultants. Michael Baker is one of those, so we rotate the work between the two firms.
Why wouldn't we bid the project?
Because we are allowed to use these two firms for anything that has a construction value of 7.5 million or less individually. So we use one of those, one of those continuing consultants as needed as projects come along.
What would be the harm in hard bidding it?
We don't hard bid professional services. The selections are based on qualifications.
Okay, well, I was concerned with their qualifications and performance based on the last project I saw them work on.
I'm sorry, Commissioner, can you tell me what project you were speaking about?
The Ajax paving Pagefield project that they had estimated $1 million and came in ended up costing us $2.2 million
Okay,
for our last meeting.
okay. Yeah, I don't think it was Michael Baker's fault that the bids came in where they came in.
They were under contract to estimate the project and design the project to meet the budget.
Mhm.
Mr. Chairman, if I may?
Yes.
Just real briefly. This is a professional services agreement covered by the CCNA provisions of Florida statute. We do continuing service contracts through an annual procurement process where we do satisfy the requisites of the CCNA statute. We do that so that we do not have to go out on individual procurements by project in an effort to save time. And this contract amendment falls into that provision. Baker International, I apologize for the misidentification, but the company went through the CCNA continuing services contract bid process and is on our list of approved vendors satisfying those requirements. We do the pooled concept in an effort to save time so that you don't have to do individual procurements by project.
Can I ask you a question, Mr. Chair?
Absolutely, by all means, we're having a discussion.
So we have the ability to do a bid process for this, it would just take longer than using the pool of contracts based on what you just
Mr. Chairman?
outlined, correct?
Yes, please.
It would not be a bid, it would be in compliance with the Competitive Consultants Negotiation Act, where you rank qualifications. You can't ask price under that statute until you select a contractor.
So, and just to add, from a vetting process, ASMC vets the companies, they hear the presentations, which is then brought forth to the board for final approval.
Okay. Again, I know that effort to save time, we're updating a boundary survey that's 11 years old. So it didn't sound as urgent to rush the process and just hand select one person, and I was just concerned with their level of service on our last contract. So if, I won't stand in the way of success, but I wanted to make those points on the record to be heard.
I respect and appreciate the comments. I mean, I think we gave clear direction to the board, certainly the executive director, that, we went off course. And we want to go back on course. We want to stay focused. We want to have as much input and consultant that we can. We're just following that protocol. And, I think, your points are germane to contracts, professional services, as I've understood from the attorney, are just in two different categories. So,
And to make one other point, if you don't mind.
absolutely.
Did you say we only have 2 surveyors available to us in this pool?
So yes, if I can, Mr. Chair.
Absolutely.
We will be coming up, I believe in the next year, we'll be coming back to market, if you will, for our next contract, which we will be going out. Typically we've done 2 in the past. We know that the county does several more than we do, but we're going to be broadening our toolbox, if you will, of available companies that we can reach out to through our contracting process. But
No, I'm happy to hear that.
Yeah.
We need to cast a wider net so that we can make sure that we're getting the best value for our dollar and inviting the most people to compete for our business.
And that's
right?
already planned, and procurement is working on that, which will be coming out, I believe it,
Soon.
or early part of next year.
It's just hard to think of a multi-billion-dollar project, business of our size only has 2 vendors to choose from for surveying. So thank you for that, gentlemen. I'll make a motion to approve.
I'll second the motion to approve.
I have a motion and a second on the floor. Any public comments? I don't see any public comments. Come back up.
Just one final thought.
Absolutely, by all means.
I am definitely sympathetic to the conversation about, gosh, couldn't we just bid this out if we don't like the person who actually is going to get the work? But I think.
Please don't. I'm not going to take that. Paraphrasing is a little.
Oh, all right. Well, then I'm sorry. That was kind of the way it sounded to me. I apologize. I don't mean to
Had
put
some
words in
concerns.
anybody's mouth, but I mean, there is a certain way that, like you do these things, you have this pool of vendors to choose from so that you can be efficient and effective. And I just find it hard that we're telling the airport do business efficiently and effectively. And if there is a pool that you can, select these professional service providers from, without having to go through 5 or 6 months of procurement, then obviously choose from the pool. Again, if it goes with the rules that Richard outlined, but now all of a sudden today we would say, well, maybe that business practice didn't work in this scenario here, so do something different. It's just, I think we still need to have a level of consistency and predictability of how things are going to work at the airport. And I mean, to me, I don't see a problem with the process that happened here today.
Again, I'm trying to respect Steve and his team's judgment and discretion on these matters as well, right? We have a pool of 2.
Yeah.
At the county, we had a pool of 26 in that, our pool, right?
I mean, but is that all who applied to the pool? I'm trying to remember,
I don't know, I wasn't here when
Yeah.
that solicitation was bid, but I hope we have 26 people on it next year when they put it out for bid.
Yeah. And I think that's a great point to make for the next time, absolutely,
Mr. Chair?
Yes,
may I ask a
please.
question, just for clarity for us, in the attorney. What I picked up from what you were saying, and please correct me if I'm wrong, it was performance-based that you were unhappy with, that you thought that we should, that is what's bothering you about extending this. So my question is, after we go through that process and complied with the process and selected two to recommend to you and you approved them, through the course of that term, if there is performance issues, can that be brought back to go through a process of selecting another firm to keep cost effectiveness and time, et cetera, because I think the statute serves a good purpose, because it's service providers like this that time is money and time is progress. So we need to keep things going when they're under that certain dollar amount. So do we come back, or do we bring up, or do we have direct staff to bring, we probably can't direct staff to do anything, but I mean, can you do that midstream of that, or you got to keep it in place?
Please.
Mr. Chairman, in a nutshell, and CCNA is one of these concepts that I could speak to you about for like 4 hours and put everybody to sleep, so I don't want to do that. But the concept behind CCNA is because it's geared toward professional services, is to select the best qualified firm. The focus is not on the lowest priced firm, so it's separate from a bid process. The reputation and past performance of a contractor under CCNA is what you're looking at.
That's right.
So yes, absolutely. Any notions of past failures should go into both the committee's decision and their recommendation, as well as the Board of Port Commissioners in their recommendation and final award.
Can I just add a point, you know, especially with the project that was, as the example, is when we receive quotes from somebody, you know, like this professional service contract provided us, we then vet that through the FAA. And that's how we get our grant money. I think out of the $2.8 million project, we paid for $60,000 of it. We get that grant money because the FAA sees in totality the whole state, the whole region. So they're looking at our projects and saying, all right, even though something that we thought was going to cost $1 costs $5, the FAA is also recognizing that in the state at that given point in time, that like service is costing $5. They provide you with the grant money. If they didn't agree with that, we wouldn't be doing that. They'd be having a talk with us, which we've done on other projects. So while it's not appealing, you know, in this case, when you are, you know, provided with a number and it changes, our ultimate checks and balance is always going to be the FAA as the one writing our grant checks. And I think, you know, to Emily's, you know, kudos to Emily's team for getting us all the grant, but it is always a struggle that airports face, probably any industry faces, is coming up with a quote and then seeing it tangible at the end and finding that middle ground. So that's kind of what we came up with in this instance.
And I appreciate that. And for the record, grant money sounds great when you have a grant, but it's still taxpayer dollars, right? And everybody is putting, you know, pressure on our national debt and other things. And I'm just trying to make challenging comments to make sure that there's checks and balances to be as responsible as possible with all of our taxpayer dollars that we steward on all of our projects. And certain projects are more urgent than others. Some require an expedited piggyback contract to be effective. Some jobs are not a hurry, and we can take this slow, cheap way, you know. But I want to make sure that staff has the judgment to decide which tool in the toolbox to use, and doesn't always have to pick the most expensive path, so to speak. That was what I was trying to encourage.
Any other discussion? I got a motion, I got a second, close public comment. Anyone opposed? Motion carries unanimously. Go to administrative agenda.
All right,
Please.
thank you, Mr. Chair. Mr. McGonigal will introduce item 23 for Breeze Airways.
Good morning, everybody. Nice to see you today. 23 is ratify a long-term participating agreement with Breeze Airways. Breeze started here at RSW in 2022 with 2 flights, one to Charleston, South Carolina, and one to Vegas. And now 3 years later, they're going to 26 destinations out of here. So they have asked if they could sign on to the long-term agreement. We have 9 years left. This is the revenue sharing agreement. so we're happy to do that. We had one gate available for them, D9, Delta 9, so they'll use that as a preferential gate. Yeah, so this is good news. It kind of shows their commitment for another 9 years here.
Good news.
I'll move approval.
I'll second it. Second, any public comments? Seeing none. Any other discussion? Anyone opposed? Motion carries unanimously. Thank you. 24.
Great, thank,
Go ahead.
yeah, oh, sorry. I jumped
Go
in.
ahead.
Thank you. Another airline here. This is a lease agreement with Delta Airlines to build a Sky Club lounge. Right now, they, with, with the Phase 1 construction project, we are building, as you go down into Concourse C, right above, a 10,000 square foot lounge. This is a branded, this will be a branded Delta Sky Club lounge. It's being built right now. It's 10,000 square feet. I heard there's over 50 Delta lounges in the country. Every major airport in Florida has a Delta lounge, so we're happy to be in there. And a lot of loyal Sky Club flyers have been asking for years for a lounge here. So just, it's a good thing about the agreement. It can extend out to 20 years. The minimum rent to us is $150 a square foot. So on a minimum, they're going to pay us $1.5 million a year. Or the current terminal rental rate. Right now, the rental rate's a little over 200. So we're looking at $2 million minimum to us, plus 12% of their liquor sales. So this would be a good thing and for our #1 carrier. Any questions?
I'll gladly move approval on this one. It's a great deal. It's something we've been waiting for a long time.
Yeah.
Yeah, I'll second that, but I did have a question. I
Yes.
got sidetracked from it. I missed. This said $1.5 million, I thought it said on the
Yeah, so
agreement, and you said $2 million?
the
I missed
minimum
the
that
delta.
they're gonna pay us is $150 a square foot, which is $1.5 million. They will never pay less than that.
Okay.
Right now, our rental rate, I think it's around $206 a square foot. So today, if it opened today, they'd be over $2 million minimum
Fantastic.
to us, yeah.
No, I'm happy to hear it. My
Yeah.
wife's going to be in the Atlanta Sky Lounge here imminently, so on her way back. So it's a
Everybody's
wonderful service,
talking
and
about
it'll be a real
I'm in one
a real
just
boon.
about every week.
Yeah, it'll be a real boon for this. It's going to be top notch. I'm excited about this.
Listen, it can't happen soon enough, so, especially with all
We're gonna have
the
the last year.
wonderful challenges we're gonna have with the FAA, so. But I appreciate, we got a motion, a second. Any public comment? Seeing none. Any other discussion? Seeing none. Anyone opposed? Seeing none. Motion carries.
Yeah, one more. 25 is approve a piggyback contract between Carasoft Technology and Omnia. This is some software that we want to get with AeroCloud is the name of the company. Right now, we have 3 separate software packages for processing passengers. They're becoming end of life next year. So one of them is called Ease, and that's where we are at the gate and they process your tickets as you get on the aircraft. That software, we maintain it. It's becoming end of life. FIDS is Flight Information Display System, where you look at when your arrival and departures are, what time they are. That system is getting out of life. And then OAG is, you don't see this, but this is an airline feed. Those 3 systems are being replaced by AeroCloud with this approval today. It's a cloud-based software. It's really robust. We tested it. We beta tested it at the gate, and we went up to, I believe it was Sarasota. They have it up there. The airlines love it. It's much more robust. This is a 4-year agreement with contingency. It's about $1.4 million.
How much are we spending on the current software 3 programs?
This one's about 10% more.
For all 3?
Yes, for all
This
3
one-
combined. Yes.
All 3 combined?
Yeah, and what's good is this one will be up in the cloud. The ones we have now, we're running expensive servers on it. So those are eventually gonna have to get replaced too. So it is about a 10% increase, but it's more robust and reliable. So.
I'm sorry, I didn't ask you. make a question.
Fine, by all means.
One more follow-up,
Sure.
please. Is there any, I like the bundling if it's
Yeah.
good for us, right?
Yep.
But is there any risk in having all our eggs in one basket with this one software
Bill,
company?
you want to,
Um,
do you want to comment on that? Yeah. It's a good question. Phil's our IT director. He went out and shopped for this.
I am not an IT director.
Phil and his team do a great job.
Using servers.
My goodness.
Yeah, would you, good morning, Philip Murray, IT Director. Would you like to repeat the question?
So the way it was described was we had 3 different vendors providing 3 different services, and now we're hiring one company to do all 3 services for about a 10% premium over what we were paying for the end-of-life software. And I said, is there any concern or risk in having only one vendor instead of multiple vendors if there's an issue?
So the way the application is architected, it's not dependent on any one data center. We use multiple data centers to provide this service. Now we do have geodiverse connectivity to the airport, so there's no single path out. So it's a very robust and redundant design.
Whatever he
Does that mean
said.
it's good for?
So,
Does that mean it's good for us?
Mr. Chair, if I may.
Oh, sorry.
Yeah, so
Is that more better?
that is, yes, so because of the cloud, the way the information flows in and out of the airport has more options, if you will, versus everything just going to our servers. We can get away from the servers, it's dispersed out into the cloud through the data farms that are out there. So if one goes down, there will be a backup versus if the software the hardware that Phil's team supports now goes down, then we're stuck. So we have more risk the way it is set up now than we would with the solution that Phil and his team has found for us.
So basically, it's more geodiverse and redundant.
I would say so, yes.
And a tad more robust.
I feel much better now. Thank you for the, I have no further IT questions.
Told there would be no match.
The only other point, honestly, is, with servers, we're gonna reduce, obviously, an ongoing expense, because those are obviously antiquated. I can't believe we're still on servers. But that's obviously a cost that we're going to eliminate by going to the cloud.
Right.
I'm assuming you have all the encrypted protection up in the cloud?
Oh, yes, that's a very, very safe connection, yes.
Everyone's going to the cloud, but many people, we've just seen too many cyber attacks and just too many people vulnerable there without
Correct.
the necessary protection.
Good point.
Right, and that's why this is architected so there's multiple cloud data centers that we're running out of and multiple paths out of the airport.
It seems to be the new area to hack and go into, and just, I've experienced too much of it of late, so just wanted to know that. Okay, great.
No further questions, Your Honor.
Thank you very much.
I haven't heard anyone make a motion.
Oh, motion to approve.
Second?
Motion is second. Any public comment? Seeing none, I'll bring it back up. Any other discussion? Anyone opposed? Motion carries. Thank you.
Thanks, Brian. Mr. Chair, item number 26 is with Owen Ames Kimball. I'd like Ms. Underhill to please introduce the item.
For the record, Emily Underhill. For item number 26, the Port Authority's Mitigation Park property provides mitigation lands to offset wetland and listed species habitat impacts that resulted from the original construction of the Midfield Terminal Complex. The entire Mitigation Park property totals 7,000 acres and is located approximately 5 miles southeast of RSW. Mitigation Park is the headwaters of the Corkscrew Regional Ecosystem Watershed, or CREW, and contains the largest freshwater marsh in Lee County. In addition, it is a critical flowway and groundwater recharge area. It is an environmental asset to all of Lee County. The Lee County Port Authority is required to perform land management activities at Mitigation Park according to the terms of the special conditions described in our South Florida Water Management District and Corps of Engineer permits. One of the required land management activities includes exotic nuisance vegetation species control, as well as maintenance of the property's 19 miles of perimeter fence and signage in perpetuity. To perform this work for the upcoming fiscal year, the Port Authority's construction manager, Owen Ames Kimball, has competitively bid all work to provide the needed fence repairs, trail maintenance, as well as treatment of exotic and nuisance species within the Imperial Marsh South and North areas, as well as in Site H. Therefore, staff recommends, number one, execution of a contract amendment with OAK in the amount of $2,224,451.32 to conduct fence, trail signage improvements, and treatment of exotic nuisance species. Number two, approve a total project budget in the amount of $2,727,065.89. And thirdly, authorize the executive director to, or designate to execute any associated documents and contract renewals, extensions, options, if it is in the best interest of the Port Authority.
Any questions? I'll move the item.
Second?
A motion, a second. Public comment? Seeing none. Any discussion up at the dais? None. Anyone opposed? Motion carries unanimously.
All right. Ms. Underhill, if you'd like to introduce 27, which is companion to number 26 with Passarella and Associates.
Correct. This item is related to the previous item. Under this contract amendment, Passarella and Associates will work cooperatively with the construction manager to determine that the environmental elements of the fence trail maintenance and initial and follow-up treatment of exotic and nuisance species are completed successfully and pursuant to the contract documents. During and after the work being conducted by the Port Authority CM, the environmental consultant will conduct field inspections to verify the extent of the maintenance and treatment areas, identify any treatments that are not meeting technical specifications, and verify when the treatments are successfully completed. This task ensures maintenance treatment is conducted in compliance with the bid documents and our required permit conditions. Staff asks that the board endorse the contract amendment in the amount of $267,940, which provides for the technical oversight of land management activities.
I'll make a motion to approve.
Second?
I have a motion, a second. Public comment? Seeing none, I'll close public comment. Any discussion up at the dais? Seeing none. Anyone opposed? Seeing none. Motion carries. 28, sir.
Thank you. Item 28 is for a grant from the Federal Aviation Administration. Ms. Underhill.
In October of 2025, the Port Authority submitted a supplemental grant application to the FAA to secure additional Infrastructure Investment and Jobs Act Airport Terminals Program, or ATP funds, to be used towards the construction of passenger boarding bridges under the Terminal Expansion Phase 2 Gates project at Southwest Florida International Airport. Port Authority staff has been working with the FAA staff and anticipates receiving the grant, hopefully in December of this year. The FAA has indicated a need for prompt execution of the agreement upon issuance. Therefore, to accommodate the FAA's request, the Executive Director requests authorization to execute any associated documents related to the grant agreement on behalf of the Port Authority. Following the Executive Director's execution, the grant documents will be presented to the board for ratification and approval.
Just a question. How much is the anticipated grant?
We are expecting $2.6 million.
Okay, I just didn't see that in the backup.
Yep.
So.
I'll make a motion for approval.
Second. Motion, a second. Any public comment? Seeing none, I'll close public comment. Any other discussion? Anyone opposed? Motion carries unanimously. 29, sir.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. Item 29 relates to an FDOT grant. Ms. Underhill.
Thank you. This amendment adds $2.5 million in state funds in fiscal year 25-26 to be used towards eligible costs for the Pagefield South Quadrant hangars and ramp project. This brings FDOT's participation to date to $10,525,000.
I'll move approval of accepting that grant.
I'll second that.
I have a motion, a second. I'll go to public comment. I don't see any public comment. Bring it back to the dais. Any discussion? Anyone opposed? Motion carries. Last item.
Last item, Attorney Holborn, related to our updated personnel policies manual.
Good morning, Commissioners. Rob Holborn with the Port Attorney's Office. The Port Authority Personnel Policies and Procedures Manual was last revised in 2017. Over the past year, the Executive Director, along with its team, have thoroughly reviewed the entirety of the manual and made substantial changes to update the manual based on changes in state, federal law, and best management practices. The current version contained both policy and procedure and will now be limited to policy, thus the new name of the document will now be the Lee County Port Authority Personnel Policies. The procedures will be moved to an Administrative Procedures Manual, which will be reviewed and approved by the Executive Director. Staff is available for any questions on these changes for you.
Any questions?
We're not going to go through the 133 pages of updated
I-
policies.
I think we've had enough fun with that.
we-
so-
That's always a lot of fun, it really is. I love going through this, but no.
Add it to the workshop afterward.
I'll move the item.
I'll second that. I'll second that. I know how hard you guys worked on this project
Yeah.
over the last 9 months from what you, our review, and I appreciate your efforts.
Thank you.
Motion and a second. Any public comment? Seeing none, I'll close public comment. Any other discussion? Anyone opposed? Motion carries unanimously. Next item is commissioner items. Commissioner Hammond,
None today?
Commissioner Mulliker. Any commissioner items?
None.
Don't have any either. Commissioner appointments.
None today?
Commissioner Mulliker, any commissioner appointments? Any commissioner appointments?
I do not.
I do not either. Okay.
You guys are fast today.
I've been accused of it before. Comments from the chair for the airport special management.
I'd just like to thank Dana and the entire crew in Charlotte County for an excellent job they did in putting on the air show. It was very professionally done, very well organized. I would say this year, I've been to many of them, and this year was the best organized I've ever seen. And I think Dana had a very strong hand in that, and I just want to thank him for the opportunity for the whole community to go and see such a great air show.
And providing us tickets.
Any other members have any comments?
Family went, and they
preferred
raved about it,
parking.
yes. I think the Blue Angels were missed, though.
They were missed.
They were
Yes.
missed, yes.
Thank you.
Couldn't fly a plane for us right now.
Yeah,
Any
Couldn't,
comments?
thinking you
Comments?
couldn't get up and, get in a plane, do a little fly for us, no?
Unfortunately, with the government shutdown, Blues had to
Right.
cancel San Francisco, which is a huge show. They canceled Jacksonville,
Oh, wow.
which is where the home of the Blues are. They canceled this show, and they unfortunately had to cancel the homecoming show, which is supposed to be this weekend, which is very meaningful to the community and for the guys that are flying, for the last time. So it's, hope we can get everything back on track in a lot of different ways.
let's hope so.
I should get you to volunteer
Continues
for
to give.
free if you don't need a paycheck.
Better clear the crowd if I get that.
Thank you very much for your comments. We'll turn to the executive director.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. I'm going to start, this one's kind of a big deal for us. There they are. Alicia, everybody look at Alicia, if you could, and Roxanne, please wave or stand up real quick before I read this. They're the two blushing back there.
Okay, great.
Southwest Florida International Airport won the 2025 Airport Council International North America Environmental Achievement Award in the mitigation category for its RSW Mitigation Parkland Management Strategy Project. That's a long word. This award was presented to LCPA at the recent ACI North America and World Annual Conference in Ontario. The judges were very impressed by our commitment to environmental stewardship and noted the substantial long-term investment to maintaining and enhancing more than 7,000 acres of protected parkland. So I'd like to congratulate Emily, Alicia, and Roxanne for the great work you have provided and continue to provide for the community. And also to the board and ASMC for continuing to support these efforts for us. So thank you all. Wanted to also give a quick update on Arthrex. I haven't done that in a while. Design is 60% completed with all federal, state, and local applications having been submitted or in process. We expect to receive the entitlements in the second quarter of 2026. And then LCPA shovel-ready construction should be completed by 2027, at which time Arthrex will start their work. We've have ongoing staff conversations with Arthrex, and by all indications, they've been pleased with our staff as well as Bowman and how that's been working. So that's going along, and we're excited about that project to start finally breaking ground. And I have one other item. I want to kind of address three parts to the the government shutdown. The first is from a local aspect. We've been reaching out and working with our federal partners at TSA, FAA, and CBP. One, to continue to thank them for working during the past 36 or 37 days, as well as providing our support to them. The second aspect of the shutdown is we are in the middle of two rather large construction projects that require both TSA and FAA approval for various aspects to it, be it a crane or we need to move checkpoints by February. We are progressing along kind of business as usual, but having to work through those items, has been a challenge and will remain, but we're steadfast in our commitment to keep hitting those time frames. And then as of, it may have happened already today, yesterday evening, the FAA advised that there will be a 10% reduction in flights. Pulling the info from this morning, there was 9 airports that were showing potential delays. I'm sure that will grow. You might hear a term called Core 30 in the news. Core 30 is the FAA's fancy term for the top 30 airports by traffic. We are a little bit below that. We're closer in the 40s. The reason that those Core 30s are important to us, though, is that's pretty much everywhere we go. So looking at this morning's delays, it was by and large the New York area, the Houston area, the major thoroughfares, east-west and north-south. From a airport standpoint, Mr. Roque with the operations staff, as well as Vicki and her team from communications, have their plan in place. I don't know if people have seen the pictures out of Houston with their thousands of people in line. For us, we're ready for any delays that may occur from the airlines due to the FAA staffing. It's a large unknown, so we have contingency planned for that, and now we're kind of in a wait and see how that affects the community. So we will pivot as needed, but I just wanted to make sure everybody knew that we are planning and have a plan for that for the foreseeable future. Those are my comments, Mr. Chair.
Thank you, sir. Hope for better news later.
Mr. Chair,
Absolutely.
one question, please, just to follow up. Since you brought up Skyplex, and I know we have a workshop today regarding the phase 1, phase 2, but would you gentlemen be interested in having a Skyplex workshop in the first part of next year to catch up on that overall progress review?
Yeah, so Skyplex right now, the one project we're doing is the Arthrex. If we want to do something real quick on Arthrex, be more than happy to.
The master concept plan, I know.
Yeah, master concept is still the same. We still have the FBO, we have cold storage, and then Arthrex. And then once this is done, we'll proceed on to the following aspects of it, but we'd be more than happy to provide what we have. I don't know how fresh it would be, but always willing to provide any information you'd like.
Thank you. Try again. Port Attorney?
Nothing further, Mr. Chairman.
Thank you. Appreciate it. Any public comments on other matters? Don't see any. Any other issues before us? I'll call for an adjournment. Let's adjourn for 5 to 10 minutes before we go to the workshop. Thank you. Great. So we're going to continue with the workshop, Lee County Port Authority, Board of County Commissioners. We'll call the meeting to order. Going over to you, Mr.
Thank you, Mr.
Executive
Chair.
Director. Thank you.
Emily, if you could you just progress it to the next slide, please? So just a quick agenda, the introduction, comments, that's me doing that right now. We'll go through, Emily will introduce her engineering team. I think it's important to show the changes that she's made and the additions to her team in the past year. We'll start off with phase one, go through there. At the end of each presentation, Emily will pop back up and talk about funding on either side. We have the full gamut of the companies here and present in the room in support and for any questions. So with that, I'll toss it over to Emily.
All right, thanks, Steve. Again, for the record, Emily Underhill. So over the last year, we have made significant changes to our engineering and construction department. The positions highlighted in green depict additional staff that have been added to our team over this period. Leandro Gokachia, who was hired last November, has been recently promoted from senior manager to the department director position. It should be noted that Leandro was selected following a competitive nationwide search. Under the director, we have created a capital projects group for the terminal expansion phase 1 and 2 projects that is being led by Mr. John Buzzy as the senior manager. Under Mr. Buzzy are 2 project managers. Laura Curry has daily oversight of the phase 1 project, and Stephen Pica has daily oversight of the phase 2 project. This group is also receiving additional support from Parsons and Jacobs, who were retained to act as an extension of staff. Last week, we also welcomed Amani Dudley as another senior manager to help lead all other design and construction projects. For example, the public safety building, the rent-a-car relocation garage expansion, and the runway 624 rehab project, just to name a few. As you know, in March of this year, the terminal expansion phase 1 total project budget value was adjusted from $331 million to $678.3 million. To successfully complete the project, the Port Authority has contracted with 4 entities. Parsons has been retained to provide project support services as an extension of staff. Through their most recently approved amendment, they are providing a full-time project manager, a full-time controls manager, full-time office engineer, and an administrator for the implementation and continued maintenance of a new project management information system, or Procore, for the project. Secondly, Atkins, the original engineer of record, is performing construction administration services during construction. Thirdly, EG Solutions is performing construction engineering inspection services during construction. And last, Manhattan Construction is the construction manager, general contractor, with contractual relationships to over 50-plus subcontractors. I'd like to ask Craig Bryant, Vice President of Manhattan, to come forward to present their portion of the progress update, which will highlight work in progress, noteworthy items, and a schedule look ahead.
Morning, everyone. Craig Bryant, Manhattan Construction. Just going to go over a few quick highlights before we get into the progress that's been done today, but this will give you a sense of how construction has ramped up since the redesign was approved. We currently have over 150 workforce on site, with a peak of 250 expected at the beginning of next year. We've installed nearly 1 million pounds of steel reinforcing to the existing building and parts of the new construction. So about 475 tons of steel that's been installed. Over 3,000 yards of concrete have been poured, with only about 550 yards yet to remain. Since the reset was approved, over 214,000 man hours have been worked. Just to put that in perspective, the 6 months preceding the reset, there was only about 21,000 man hours worked. So 10x progress since the reset. More than 130 beams and columns have been carbon fiber reinforced, with only 22 columns remaining. That project is nearly complete. And over 250 members of steel will be blasted and repainted on site. The contractor has built an on-site paint booth to facilitate that. It reduces freight charges and saves a tremendous amount of time. Moving on to the major milestones of the project, we're currently working towards that February 9, 2026 date, which is the turnover of the temporary checkpoint at Concourse C. So that's the next major milestone that will be completed within the next few months. Towards that, the critical areas that need to be achieved in order for that to happen, all of the structural reinforcement plates will need to be completed along with the carbon fiber installation. Obviously, the TSA temporary checkpoint areas will need to be complete and built out. There's a central stair and elevator that needs to be in operation in order for TSA to operate correctly and move oversized baggage down to the BHS. The new TSA office areas need to be in place in order for them to move out of their current location so that we can commence the demo of that area. And then the new mechanical rooms in the C concourse that feed the hold rooms will also need to be operational in order for us to meet that February 9 date. Some of the progress to date, as you know, a big part of the project when we restarted was to remove some work that needed to be replaced. So several columns have been removed. A lot of the floor decking has been removed, and the reinforcement process had commenced. Here you'll see us repouring the departure level deck in zone 15, which is just to the west of Concourse C. That's the area where the folks will travel through to get from the temporary checkpoint and into the C concourse. Some of the steel plate reinforcing that's happened in Concourse C and the other mechanical rooms on the 3rd and 4th floor involved a lot of x-raying, imaging, locating existing rebar, drilling pilot holes to confirm that we were not going to hit rebar, then core drilling, templating those core drills, and then fabricating plates to be installed and bolted. So here's another example of that. You can see not any one bolt is in a systematic location. That's by design. We had to do that in order to miss the existing rebar in those columns. Here we are moving on to the temporary checkpoint. As you remember, Shula's used to house that area, and Shula's has been removed, and all of the associated ductwork and equipment, electrical, et cetera, was all removed above ceiling. And here's where we are today. The new framing, new drywall, new ceilings, all new mechanical equipment above the ceiling is installed. And we're working on flooring and finishes at this time. Here's some of the reinforcing that's taking place inside the existing terminal. Really hard to see, but if you see the white on the left, that's the hard cementitious coating on top of the carbon fiber. So those columns and beams have been sandblasted, grinded, carbon fiber installed, and then they get coated with that white top coat. You'll see on the far right, these are additional reinforcings for that departure level slab that will ultimately feed people into Concourse C. There's additional steel columns and beams that had to be added to those areas to support the loads. This is the TSA office area. We're in the rough end stage. We're soon hanging drywall in there. So that area is well on its way. Finish is expected soon, and getting that ready for TSA to move into ahead of that February 9th date. This is the central stair and elevator core. Since these photos were taken, all structural steel has been completed. We're now framing shaft walls. The stairs are installed, and we're progressing well with that. The elevator is scheduled here in the upcoming month. A couple more pictures of that. You can see the stairs in place, the mechanical room up on the roof, penthouse. Again, this is more carbon fiber installation. This is up on the additional new mechanical rooms up on the 3rd and 4th floors that support the ultimate expansion of the terminal. More of that carbon fiber ongoing. This is carbon fiber down in baggage handling as well as up in the mechanical rooms and the TSA offices. This is the reconstruction of these third and 4th floor mechanical rooms. These mechanical rooms were nearly complete when we were stopped. So things like framing, sheeting, waterproofing, air handlers all had to be removed. Those have since been removed and are now being reconstructed. More photos of the third floor on the west side. Again, getting ready to commence the exterior framing. We'll set air handlers, pour slabs, and get back on track there. Upper fourth floor mechanical rooms. These are the lateral bracing support for the high roof in the center of the project. So we are wrapping columns with carbon fiber, adding steel reinforcing plates, and adding some bracing as well to those columns. More pictures here again of the fourth floor, ready to pour slabs up there and set air handlers. Some of the other items that are worth mentioning that have been completed since the reset took place, we've turned over 3 elevators, new elevators. The loading dock and badging offices have been turned over to LCPA. The ops offices are complete. The fire pump room and domestic water service is completed. And all the carbon fiber to allow actual steel erection is now done. We're now in the existing terminal doing other reinforcements, but everything that is needed to be done to erect steel is now in place. Some of the things upcoming over the next 6 months, I mentioned it earlier, TSA temporary checkpoint. We're actually tracking a little ahead of this date right now, but we plan to open on February 9th. Central Stair, TSA offices, and the C concourse mechanical rooms all by that same date. Tower cranes are starting here at the end of the month. We've already poured foundations. The steel rails that those ride on are arriving this week and will start to get installed. We're scheduled to start steel erection in February on the west low barrel roof. Shortly thereafter, we'll go to the east low barrel roof and ultimately meet in the middle and erect the high barrel roof, which is directly over top of Concourse C. As that commences and Concourse C TSA checkpoint is closed, we will immediately start that demolition while the steel works its way to the middle. Turn it back over to Emily.
Thank you.
Thank you, Craig. You will recognize this slide as one we share with you monthly regarding our individual expenditures over $100,000 each. Since March of 2025, 6 contract amendments have been approved totaling $1,209,920. In summary, the remaining collective contingency amount for the project is currently $45.8 million, which is the sum of those last 3 columns, with 3 years remaining for construction completion. This slide provides an itemization of the various sources of funding for this project, including a variety of FDOT grants, bonds, PFCs, and local Port Authority share. As a reminder, we will be heading to the bond market in February to cover the unexpected increase in project costs. Dave Amdor, Port Authority CFO, will be presenting more information to you about this at the January Port Board meeting and is here to answer any questions you may have on this. All right, we're going to switch over to phase 2 now.
Real quick, do you guys want to, Mr. Chair, do you want to ask questions on phase 1 before we go to phase 2, or?
What's the pleasure of the board?
Yeah, I was going to ask when are we going to ask questions?
Yes.
Is Adkins and EG,
Everybody's here.
are they going to make their part of the phase 1 presentation? I thought each of them would give.
So they're available for questions if you specifically had questions. We set it up to have the primes do it with everybody in the room if you had specific questions pertaining to any of the tasks that they're completing.
Do we have someone here from Adkins that is prepared to give us an update?
Yes.
From their side of all the engineering side of the fixes for phase 1 and what they've learned?
Yes, we definitely.
Yes, please.
Good morning. For the record, Darren Larson, Atkins Realis, and I represent the engineering team for both phases of the project, actually. So, do you have any specific questions you'd like to ask, or?
Well, during the reset, we obviously had engineering fixes and things we learned we could do it over again, we would. What have you learned? What have you found? What unforeseen challenges have you had? What remedies have we done now to fix things? Has there been anything else unforeseen that we don't know about?
The good news is the structural redesign that was done prior to the reset identified, essentially all of the structural challenges that needed to be addressed. And as Craig just mentioned, that Manhattan has already completed the majority of that work, and they're starting to move into the expansion work itself, which will be, starting to occur near term. But the remedial work that was included as part of the reset has largely been completed, and we haven't identified anything else substantial that needed to be done. The carbon fiber work, I think, is probably the most significant part of that remedial work, and that has gone pretty smoothly. There's only one area of that remains to be completed, and that will be done in conjunction with the demolition and redevelopment of the Concourse C area that's going to be expanded.
Okay. No, I'm not looking for bad news. Trust me, we all want to know, are we on time, or are we on budget now, right? Is there anything we don't know so that we can provide support or oversight if necessary? And
from our perspective, not that I can think of at this time, no.
Well, that's a good answer. I hope it stays that way for the rest of the project.
Could you tell us a little bit about what you hope to achieve with the wrapping the columns with the carbon fiber, and is that a cost-saving method that you're using here instead of redesigning the columns themselves?
Well, it is less costly than redesigning and reconstructing the columns, and it is less intrusive to the operations of the building as well. Because if we had to actually do more comprehensive structural repairs, that would involve shoring, and it would be more of an impact to operations, whereas the carbon fiber, even though it's a little bit disruptive, can largely be done without significant impacts to the operations. And Manhattan has proven that to be true, because they've completed the majority of that work in the operational spaces already.
So it's been tested once you put the carbon fiber on the columns, that it gives us the strength that's necessary so the building's not going to collapse?
Yes. And the carbon fiber was largely added just to meet code requirements. It was not necessarily a strength concern or a building collapse concern. It was just adding elements to the columns and beams that needed to be there to meet code requirements.
Respectfully, with the core drilling and some of the other earlier work where they, again, when Manhattan brought it up and said we're x-raying and triple checking everything before we do any more core drilling, that method that wasn't done as effectively the first time did have some structural impacts and had to be part of these repairs to the structure. So I'm glad that's behind us and that we've improved those means and methods, right? But how do you test to know if the carbon fiber is achieving the goal for structural integrity when it's finished? How do you know it passes inspection, so to speak?
So the way the carbon fiber works, it's not something you test after the fact. It's basically you apply it knowing what the performance of the material will be once it's applied. And that's just through historical, we've been using that material in construction now for decades, and we know what it can do. And basically, as long as the contractor follows the prescripted method for applying it, and they use the right amount of carbon fiber, which the inspection team is watching that work as it occurs to make sure that happens, then the results are, you don't have to worry about any sort of further testing. It meets the needs once it's complete.
And I'm glad to hear the structural integrity, but so EG Solutions would know the answer of how they verify it's being done and applied correctly to protect our interests?
They've certainly been observing the work, and we've had delegates of our team who are industry experts in carbon fiber, installation, have been there observing the work as well.
Just, Mr. Chair?
Absolutely.
And I don't know who's best to answer this, but there's multiple inspections, isn't there, with, I don't know if it's you or Craig or EG, multiple inspections alone with the application of the carbon fiber. So each step of the process, which is, one of the concerns going into it was the duration of everything, to which they've done a great job to speed it up. But there's, at least 4 or 5 maybe different inspections that go with each column to verify that it's taken, the current is taken down, the application, there's multiple applications, the finish, and all along the way, there's those checks and balances that are documented and approved.
Is there somebody from EG here? Yeah, they're right there. Can I just ask you a couple follow-up questions of them for their inspections?
If you want to step up to the podium.
Good morning. I'm Henry Burton with EG Solutions, PM for Phase 1. Yes,
So,
Commissioner.
Unlike what I said about the vacant lot tower demo, this is very, very complicated. This column by column, floor by floor, you had to go through this project and design every square foot of this covering. So when you observe this, when he said, how do you verify that they used the right amount of material, that it was applied correctly? Can you just talk us through that
Yes, Commissioner. It's a very, it's a very demanding project from all aspects. It's very demanding for all the parties involved, including the airport management side, the engineering side, the inspection side, the contractor side, the subcontractors. It's a lot to manage, and it takes a great deal of cooperative effort, and that has been remarkable, to be quite honest with you, since the reset. The inspection process involves the design engineers. It involves our inspectors on site watching the installation to make sure that it's being applied according to the material manufacturer's procedures. Then we test, or we don't test, we actually observe for any defects during the installation. We inspect for the number of layers of carbon fiber in each location, whether or not there's been any deficiencies in drilling or bolting through carbon fibers, which is not allowed. So it's quite exhaustive, and it has been going extremely well, okay? And we're confident that you're getting a good product.
Well, I'm glad to hear. I mean, I don't mean to dwell on this, gentlemen, but this is the foundation, the bones of the building that's going to anchor the new building to hold the whole thing together. I mean, it's knowing that this structural integrity Phase 1 component is going well is everything I wanted to hear. Yeah, but I mean, it's something you don't want to do over. So again,
Okay.
So I'm pleased to hear the teamwork and the reassurances that we can proceed with confidence, and I appreciate your team's efforts.
Thank you.
Thank you, sir.
Chair,
Sorry.
Sorry.
Please.
I was gonna say, before we leave Phase 1, just, obviously, I love the progress and the timeline that they shared with us. I was really pleased to see that some things are ahead of schedule as well. Looks like the turnover to the temporary checkpoint, if that happens in February, that's a pretty busy season for us. Can you talk just a little bit about how you're gonna maintain, a quality experience for the people who will travel through the airport?
Yeah, so thank you for the question. One of the things I alluded to earlier in my remarks was the federal shutdown and working with TSA. Luckily, Emily and team have a plan to move the checkpoints. We're going to be physically moving the machines from one to the other. We have that plan set. We have the timeline set. It might be a case where the final approval from TSA may or may not be there, but we have to hit a date, and we know that. And if I have to say I'm sorry afterwards, then we'll say we're sorry for doing that. It's not necessarily the best way to operate, but hopefully we'll be through the shutdown by then. The one thing though is everything that we're doing has been discussed with TSA. Everything we're doing, TSA has been a part of for, 3 years probably more like 5 years at this point. So it's not a surprise. But to that, right now you come in the building, if you're checking in, if you're looking, you're going to the right and you're going around. In the future, you're going to be going to the left into the new checkpoint where Shula's used to be. You'll be going through a walkway into C. Brian and concessions, you'll be closing 2 of the concessions, Great American Bagel and Sbarro Pizza. Right when you come out, there'll be a new kind of grab and go concept that we're working on. That hold room, because it's not in use, will elevate the customer experience because you'll have a place to sit because we'll be getting rid of that walkway. So that'll be a nice addition. The signage we've been working at diligently, and we're going to continue on a lot of the successes that we've had already with our Red Vest program, our customer service staff, our airlines, our communications plan. We're hitting all the socials. We're having people come out and tour around just to help get the word out. But it'll continue to be a very hands-on process. And I think one of the things we'd definitely be remiss is we have 2 vastly different projects because one's greenfield and one's in the middle of an operating airport. And I think collectively, as noted, there's a lot of collaboration and cooperation and the occasional headbutting to get things moving. But every day is dynamic. Today, we were just talking, what does 10% reduction mean? How is that going to impact? So it's very fluid. But I think the kudos to the team for being able to pivot. If something doesn't look right, they've been empowered to make decisions and do what's best for the guest experience. Will everything be, as quick as it will be at the end? No, but we're ready to help facilitate people through it.
Thanks. Thank you very much.
Mr. Chair.
Absolutely.
Can we have Manhattan come back up? Because I think we might have missed a question opportunity for that. I didn't know the flow of the meeting was going to go so quickly. I've talked to Craig for a while anyway. Just a couple of follow-up detailed questions on your presentation, please. And again, happy that everything's going well. What is the status of the windows that were in the field? What did you find with the inspections of those in progress? Did we have to buy?
Sure. So Craig Bryan again for the record. So all of the windows have been moved from the site to a secure warehouse. All of those windows have been inspected. There were no pieces of glass that had to be replaced.
Really?
A little bit of reconditioning on some frames, but in terms of the glass, it's now tested and 100% operational. So it's the monochromatic electric glass, and it's all functioning properly at this point. They're going to retest it again prior to shipping out to the site, so it still remains to be seen if they discover something different at that time, but as of right now, we have no replacement of glass.
Well, more good news.
Good news. Yep.
So
Very
that should
good
also
news.
save us some money in our original budget.
That's right.
Because we had
Yes.
contingency money in there for that, right?
Yeah, we had made an assumption of a certain percentage of replacement, and that's not come to pass.
Glad to hear that. When you did the milestone saying 214,000 hours completed in the last 6 or 8 months, and there's 95,000 hours left, that sounds like there might be an opportunity to
That's only to that first milestone.
only,
Till February 9th.
that's not the next 3
Yeah,
years.
sorry about that. I didn't explain that piece.
Sounded a little better than
Yeah.
phase 1 of
No,
the-
no,
it
no,
was
we
phase 1 of phase 1 milestone,
Correct.
not
That's,
phase 1.
that's right.
That's where it was scaling. I was like,
Yeah, no, we have hundreds and hundreds of thousands of man
I bet we
hours
could move
left
this
on the
up.
whole project.
If we're
Yeah.
2/3 done on a man.
Yeah, that's just for the temporary checkpoint and the associated items with that.
Wishful thinking then. Based on the passenger experience, follow-up question for Commissioner Hammond. Is there something we can do for I know in the Seagate area where you can see the raw plywood and scaffolding and it looks like a construction site. And most of the time when you're at airports, it looks like the back of the white wall, you can't see it's invisible work happening out of sight. Is there something we can do to improve?
You're referring to the scaffolding and plywood that's directly after TSA. That's actually scheduled to be removed very soon. If you've been through recently, you'll see that one side is already gone
Okay.
and the other side is soon to be removed. We had discussed
Came through.
painting that.
But we won't have an exposure to the construction zone.
I think it's already been
appearance.
removed.
Yeah.
It's been a couple of
portion of
weeks
it.
since I
Yeah.
saw that. But
Mr. Chair?
That was just true. Go ahead.
No, yeah, so that was, when we walked the area, that was the dynamic. It was switching from side to side, column to column. When they put up the new delineating wall, much like the wall that's there now, as you enter C, it'll be very similar.
By Shula's and all that.
Yes,
It
yeah,
was
so,
white-
but
White
it,
wall with a picture on it.
yeah, so when you come through the new temporary walkway into the concourse, as you're entering the concourse, on your right side will be that new wall, and it'll look vastly different than what it looks like today. So the reason for the kind of ugly, if you will, wood that was there was just because of how quickly they were going through and to pull it up and down. It wasn't as sightly as we would have liked it, but it was more function over form, if you will.
That's all I had.
All good? Thank you.
Great,
Thank you.
On time and on budget was the goal.
Yeah.
All right, we will move on to phase 2 then. There's no further questions. In September of 2025, the board approved a total project budget of $1,067,549,376 for the terminal expansion phase 2 project. To successfully complete the terminal expansion Concourse E central utility plant portions of the project, the Port Authority has contracted with 4 entities. Jacobs has been retained to provide project support services as an extension of staff. Through their initial agreement, they are providing a full-time senior project manager, a part-time project controls manager, a full-time office engineer, part-time scheduler, and a full-time administrator for the implementation and continued maintenance of a new project management information system for the project. Secondly, Atkins, the original engineer of record, is performing construction administration services during construction. Thirdly, EG Solutions is performing construction engineering inspection services during construction. And lastly, Suffolk is the construction manager and general contractor with contractual relationships to 28 different subcontractors. To successfully complete the roadway modifications, airside paving, and passenger boarding bridges portions of the project, the Port Authority has contracted with 4 entities as well. Jacobs, Atkins, and EGS are respectively performing the same functions as just noted for the building portion of the work. However, for the roadside, airside paving, and passenger boarding bridge portions, Suffolk is the agency construction manager performing construction management functions and does not hold any contracts with subcontractors. For these elements, the Port Authority holds 3 separate hard bid contracts. One, the roadway modifications, which is with Middlesex. Second, the airside paving package, which is with Ajax. And then third, the passenger boarding bridges, which is with Oshkosh. I'd like to ask Rod Nobrega, who is the Chief Operating Officer with Suffolk, to come forward to present their portion of the progress update, which will highlight work in progress, noteworthy items, and a scheduled look ahead.
Good morning. Rod Nobrega, Chief Operating Officer with Suffolk. I'm here to present on phase 2. All right, so here's an overall aerial of the project as we move into November. A lot of progress if you haven't seen it recently. Wanted to start out quickly and just kind of break down the different parts and pieces. I know a lot of people are familiar with the site, but I'm going to talk about several different areas here. So we'll start with the terminal and concourse areas in red. Those are the major portions of the CMGC project Emily mentioned, along with the chiller plant down in the pink area. Airside is covered about 50% CMGC work, and then the other 50% with Ajax on the CM agent. And then you have the roadway project with Middlesex Construction that we're managing as the agent as well. So as we go through and I talk about the different parts and pieces, just wanted you to have that visual. So we'll start in the concourse. So these are current updated photos. So you see structural steel installation is complete through the end of the head house, which is on the farthest most west end. Right now, heavily focused on the exterior facade you see in the middle. So exterior framing, sheathing going on, getting ready for that drying of the building. And on the right side, down in the middle, you can see the foundations for what will be the passenger boarding bridges. That's a contract held with Oshkosh, and they were responsible for those foundations coordinating with us. So steel structure I mentioned is completed, 100% here. 1,900 pieces, almost 1,300 tons of steel erected to date on the concourse alone. Moving into the site work. So again, this is kind of on the north side of the concourse. On the left, you see the 6666 storm drainage, which is being installed currently and coordinated with the airside contracts. Utilities on the south side of the building are ongoing, so domestic water, fuel line, all of that, prepping for the paving package. And then on the north side, on the underground, you can see this is actually getting ready for paving in the next 30 days or so. On the drainage side, almost 2,600 linear feet of that 66-inch pipe, so about a half a mile of that pipe going in the ground for this project. All right, moving on to the terminal. So steel structure is still in progress on this one, not 100% complete like the concourse. We're winding down toward the end here. So you see that on the left along with the concrete shear walls. In the center, so this is the tie-in to what is the existing terminal, that radius canopy structure, so continuing that on down, it's going along real nice. And then as we're completion with steel, the fireproofing elements going in, and then the facade enclosures. So there's a model of the structure. So right now, we're about pushing 50% complete towards the end of this week. All in all, 5,300 pieces of steel, almost 3,800 tons. Some more progress along the terminal. So you see roof framing going on in the center, 210-foot single-piece steel truss that we've erected 2 over the past 30 days, involving 2 to 3 cranes at a time to get those trusses in place. They were quite a great operation. And then you can see on the right more facade enclosure going in. Looking forward to curtain walls showing up actually this week for the first time. Down the concourse, you see roof membrane being installed, so rapidly approaching drying of the building is going to be one of the upcoming major milestones. About 280,000 square feet of roof combined between the expansion. All right, so move over to the roadway portion. So this is Middlesex, being managed alongside with us. So working on east infill, so this will be the expansion of the upper roadway into departures. You've got the piers going in. You've got us exposing what is the post-tension system and the existing deck so we can continue it into the new deck. Last photo on the right would then be on the west side, which will be the upper level expansion. It's kind of in between the exit of departures and the active terminal construction site. A lot of utilities going in. Fire, water, electric, a lot of the reroutes for the new lane expansions going on, new lighting being installed. On the far right, again, piers for the new pedestrian bridge number 2, which is set to open at the end of January. And then we would pick up with demolition of Ped Bridge 5 starting in February of next year. Airside paving, so another one of the agent packages. Taxiway Foxtrot, we just turned over at the end of October. So that is up and running. So there's the paving, the air-filled lighting going in. Coordination with Ajax is going tremendously. And then this will be the concrete pavement up alongside the concourse and terminal. Again, on the north side, we should start in the next 30 days. And lastly, the central utility plant. So big milestones, all the chillers and the cooling towers are on site. There's been a lot going on with procurement over the past few years. All of our major components of the project, switchgear, chillers, cooling towers are on site. So we're in really good shape pushing into the next 2 years of the job to completion. So 6-month look ahead. The goal is top out and dry in, right? We want to top out the terminal. We're going to be pushing for dry in on both the terminal and concourse. You'll see interior starting over the next 60 days on the concourse side of things. Elevators coming on site, so a lot's going to be happening in the next 6 months. Noteworthy items, so to date, 396 of 1,095 days, so 36% complete. tracking very, very closely with our financial percent completion, which is a great indicator. Total man hours pushing 700,000, up which will probably place about over 2.5 million at the end of the day. Our average monthly billing on the job, so since we started in November of last year, we put in $20 million of work every single month in construction. As far as construction milestones, so we have a celebration of the topping off on December 3rd for the steel structure to celebrate both the concourse and terminal. Look forward to seeing you all at that event. Building drying, so March of 2026 and June of 2026 for the concourse and terminal respectively. So that means buildings dried in 100% from the elements. And then I mentioned Pedbridge 2 already as one of our current milestones, and that taxiway Foxtrot turned over on 8/31. And then passenger boarding bridges, their big key was get their foundations complete, which they did on time in anticipation for upcoming paving activities.
It will go up in the next few months. But then 5 will come down.
That, if we want to do questions?
Any
I'd like to
questions?
turn it back over to Emily.
No questions?
So,
I'm sorry.
sorry, so we're on time and on budget?
So we are tracking 35 workdays behind schedule on the terminal right now, largely related to, it was kind of a downstream effect of some unforeseen utilities, which led to some foundation redesigns, which kind of went up through the shear walls and steel structure. So there's a claim submitted for that. We're in discussions with the airport and obviously looking for opportunities for acceleration, within the remaining contract schedule.
Catch up some of that time?
Of course.
Have you found any major unforeseen conditions or
We did in the underground. There were, despite the huge volume of underground scans, as-built reviews, there were some things that we ran into, as I mentioned, and unfortunately one of those was in Zone A of the terminal, which led to the impacts of the steel structure.
Okay. Anyway, there's nothing in jeopardy right now. I mean, it's all manageable.
Yeah. Now that we're out of the underground, I don't anticipate. I think the alignment with the the new terminal and the existing terminal. We discovered some things pre-construction in that as far as the alignment of those two structures. So we resolved. Before we even got on site. Yep.
It's all fixed. We don't have any issues with the.
No, I think we feel really good about it.
Okay. No, I'm really pleased. I mean, I did a tour with Steve. I'm sure you guys did. When it takes you an hour to drive around in the Suburban to see the whole job.
Yeah.
You realize the scale and scope and magnitude of the work. I mean, it's really impressive.
It is. No, I appreciate that.
The good work.
Thank you.
Are we going to talk to Parson and Jacobs at some point?
If you have specific questions, they are available.
Okay, we can get to them at the end. That's fine. But thank you very much.
You got it.
December 3rd is what?
Our topping off celebration. So that's the completion of the
Time of day?
structure. Is that?
What time of day?
Oh gosh, I'd have to get back to you on the exact time. I believe it's mid-morning. We'll make sure we circulate that.
I can get Adkins come back up again, but are there any issues on design or coordination that need to be discussed or reassured? All your efforts being coordinated to your satisfaction?
No, I mean, from our perspective, we're working great with the design team, and there's the normal, conflict in drawings and RFIs, but I would say nothing outside the normal course of business for construction from our perspective.
Thank you.
Thank you.
All right, thank you, Rod.
Thank you.
So you will recognize the slide again as when we share with you monthly regarding individual expenditures over 100,000 each off the contingency. Since March of 2025, 9 contract amendments for Suffolk have been approved, totaling $2,333,060. In summary, and since March of 2025, 3 authorizations for Middlesex for the roadway portion of the work have been approved, totaling $1,407,318.90. So in summary, the remaining collective contingency amount for the project is currently $98.4 million, which is the summation of the last 2 columns, with 2 years remaining for construction completion. This slide provides an itemization of the various sources of funding for the project, including a variety of FAA and FDOT grants, bonds, PFCs, and local Port Authority share. As I mentioned previously, Dave Amdor, Port Authority CFO, is here to answer any questions you may have on this. So this does conclude our presentation, unless you want to call any of those parties forward.
You can go ahead if you want, yeah.
Oh, sure. I didn't realize you stepped down. Yes, I would like to invite Parsons as phase one, correct?
No, this would be Jacobs Phase 2.
So Parsons is phase one, yes.
Yeah, Parsons is Phase 1, but we're talking about Jacobs, I think, right now for Phase 2.
I think we're just creating a new agenda item one way or the other. So,
If you would like to, up to you, if you'd like to bring Parsons up or.
well, if we're on phase two, let's just, I'd like Jacobs to come up and introduce themselves and tell us what they've done so far, tell us about their process, what they found, what they like, what they don't like.
Absolutely. This will be Tom DeFont, but I'll let him introduce himself.
Tom DeFont with Jacobs. For the record, we've been on site about 5 to 6 weeks. We've started looking at processes, the RCA process. We started looking at pay apps this week and getting into that process. We're working with Steve Pecca on going out to site, doing the OCAs, and working with Suffolk on all the process, the TIAs and everything else. Any delays?
Can you help some of us rookies with the acronyms?
Sure. RCA is request for change authorization, so basically a change order.
Okay.
TIA is a time impact analysis. Rod mentioned the delay of 35 days, so we're looking into how that is, what happened, and what was the cause of that with our scheduler. Did I use another acronym?
Something with the O?
Oh, OCA, that's our owner meeting, our weekly meeting with Suffolk, where we go over all the site progress.
So I know we just hired you guys for
About 6 weeks.
$4 million contract, just
Yes.
for additional oversight and reassurance. What can you tell us about your services personally that will make this job better and more predictable for us?
I think we're here to provide you staff augmentation. I'm on site every day.
Okay.
We are looking at your processes. We're helping Steve process all the RCAs, which have been, also working with Atkins to find out what is causing the RCAs and putting them in buckets. Are they an owner-driven? Are they errors and omissions? Where are we with all that? And we're trying to determine that for the authority so that we can go forward with it.
Are you helping, I know you're an augmentation of staff, but are you actually training or helping us train out our staff and SOPs and other things that will?
Well, we're working on, we've gotten into how all your processes, and we're trying to streamline them and get them going forward better.
Okay, yeah, again, ultimately, I know we needed to hire more people to help us through, like, additional temporary labor, but I'd like to make sure that we leave the project with a better handbook and process and people systemically that we can go forward farther on our own without.
Yeah, that's what we're working on, getting your processes, trying to streamline them and make them.
So have you had a good response from the contractors and your requests for information regarding the RCAs?
Yes, we have. Suffolk has given us all the information. We've been working with Atkins on the design and what preceded this and how things went with that.
And
Yes,
those responses have been timely?
Yes.
How about our internal staff getting adjusted to a new person in the office? How is all that coordination going?
Great. Emily and her staff have been great. Steve and John and Leandra.
Which is the bigger bucket of the RCA?
We just got into them, so I don't want to say which one is right now. We're going back over all the ones that were approved before and trying to make sure everything was done. So give me a little time and I'll let you know.
Have you all identified any areas or any particular risks that need to be put on our radar right now?
So when we, obviously when we came in, we looked at your schedule. That was a big thing. Where you were, have been. We worked with Suffolk, where they were with major equipment. That's always drives a big project. Where are you with your major equipment? And as Rod said, you have your transformers, you have your chillers.
That's
You know,
good. That's
everything's pretty much on site. Roofing materials on site, which, you know, you wouldn't think roofing material can delay, but it's been hard to get recently, supply chain. You know, as you look down the road, you know, I think Steve already said, you know, this government shutdown can, you know, create an impact for us. It hasn't impacted us yet, but we have TSA, a lot of TSA equipment that has to come, our checkpoint, our EDS machines. It's not critical now, but at some point, we're going to need TSA to buy in, give us approval, tell us when the equipment's coming, what checkpoint equipment we're getting, because you can get different versions of checkpoint equipment, which means you have different places to put your plugs and your power. So, I mean, looking down the road, that is the biggest impact to us.
Good deal.
Sorry.
No, I mean, that's good to know. It's so nothing that's really within our control, though. That's one of those things that you control what you can and what you can't.
Control
you
what we
just
can.
Try
you
to
know.
react to.
I'm sure, you know, every day's a worry, you know. We worry about everything on site all day. I'm sure Rod does too, but everything so far has been going very smooth.
Excellent. Okay.
Knowing the long lead time items are in hand is a big, big deal.
Oh, it's huge. Yeah.
You could wait a year or two for some of those things, you know, on a lot of projects. So
Yeah.
glad to hear that. Can we talk about our monthly reports for a minute? I know that one of the things that Steve and I have been talking about was trying to improve the quality and information of those monthly construction reports and have them include all of our construction projects. I know phase 1 and phase 2 is what we're talking about now, but are you involved in that delivery of information?
We're getting into the monthly report. We
I know you
did our
just got
first
here.
one.
I know you just got here.
We did our first one. I'm not sure it's the best one, but we'll get better at it as we go. So yes, we're getting into the monthly
Is
report.
there any information in the monthly reports that you wish you had that we would like to give them feedback on that we don't have at this point?
Not at this point. As we get deeper, we will, but no.
But some of these slides that they were showing the breakdown of the $100,000 expenses and the feedback that we wanted to know, and some of these details and milestones, I think are a much better version of where we were a year ago, and I appreciate that. But I look forward to how much better you can make us once you get your feet
Thank you.
in here.
Thanks, Commissioner.
Thank you.
Where's the steel coming from? I don't know who can answer that.
Lakeland, Florida?
US steel then, so you're not getting hit with a tariff? Okay. Have tariffs impacted the job?
Yeah, we have one pending, which is aluminum coming out of Colombia for window systems.
That wasn't available from US manufacturer? Okay.
Yep. Not for the low bidder on the low bidder of the project. That's where their systems are manufactured.
Okay. Thank you.
Yep.
Thank you very much.
Thanks.
Thank you. Can we have Parsons?
Yeah, we have Parsons. We have Jeff with Parsons available. There he is.
You've been here longer. I'm anxious to hear what you.
Well, good morning, everyone. Jeff Kaiser with Parsons. I will say that our day-to-day project manager, Pablo Rodriguez, is not with us today. He's taking care of his wife who had a procedure this week. So I'm not the day-to-day person, but some general comments I will say is about a year ago, I presented to the board for the Phase 1 Program Management Services, and some of you that were here may remember me speaking to the fact of this is something that we've seen very similar before, and that I was actually the contractor in Miami where the job had come to a complete stop, had been abandoned for several years, and it was a reset, a restart, and starting back up. So we had carbon fiber, we had stored glass that was ruined because it was stored improperly. These guys did it right. They stood it up rather than laid it down. And it lasted. So, just from that experience, applying it to this one, there's a lot of good things happening right now. There's a lot of synergies happening now. Things are moving forward. Everyone's got the attitude of let's move this forward, and it's working well. So what we're doing now is, we're really getting deeper and deeper into, I'm going to oversimplify this a little bit. You know, money is the lifeblood of a project. So the faster that we move it, the better things, the healthier our contractor is going to be. So goes them, so goes all of us. If they don't succeed, they're taking us all with us. And we don't want that to happen. So making more efficient pay applications, moving changes quicker, just fostering, helping get the answers from the design team to the construction team is what our staff is doing on the ground as an extension of LCPA staff on a regular basis. So we are in the process of standing up Procore. We've had a number of training sessions of that, which is the project management information system, document control, the changes were, Manhattan's been really cooperative with us. They've given us access to their Procore systems, which has allowed us to migrate a lot of the information that LCPA owns into their system, which is, you know, super important and greatly appreciated, super helpful. So we're in the process of getting that stood up right now. We're having regular training sessions that the LCPA staff is attending too. So they're learning along the way as we're standing this up. Just this Monday, we actually brought in our permanent long-term document control and administrative person who's going to take the reins from our expert who's standing it up, and she's as much of an expert as the expert is, which is a good thing too. So a really steps in the right direction. Things are moving well. The trends that we're seeing is also that, you know, the schedule progress is commensurate with the dollars spent now, and things are coming into line. So we're moving along well in general.
Glad to hear that. Just to touch on the Procore question for a minute. Is there anything you've asked of Manhattan in their Procore system to give us that they haven't yet?
No.
Or are not willing to do?
No, they've given us access to their system and allowed us to migrate data over. So inspection reports, old RFIs, and that was an interesting one in itself. Just a little story between the reset, from before the reset to after the reset. You know, we've decided to have a legacy portion of things where we store things, and then from the reset moving forward of the snapshot of the way things are working, and then we have the legacy data, which is good if we need to draw upon it, if there's some sort of change that's caused by something that happened pre-reset, we can bring it into the current, because we use Procore to tell a story. We tie, you know, RFIs to changes to that eventually make their way to pay-apps when they're approved, and so it all connects.
I know one of your scopes of work was a look-back analysis of reports, and they were going to give us the findings and things in real time. Where are you at with that project, and can you share any of those? Any general feedback?
Mr. Chairman, if the question could be limited to status without specifics, because again, as we've cautioned the board in the past, this matter is going to be headed for some type of dispute resolution. So I would prefer not to put any specifics on that. Perhaps if you could just give some type of timeline as to the work that you've done, and maybe that would satisfy the commissioner's questions for the purpose of.
Yeah, I want to stay away from the.
Right, we don't want to jeopardize dispute resolution.
We have provided what we call a draft final of reports, our phase 1 reports to LCPA. We are awaiting a legal review of those back from them, at which time we will finalize those and finish that up, wrap it up.
Is there any information from any party, including us, our staff, or any of these agencies, that you've asked for information that you haven't received that you're waiting on?
To my knowledge, no. It's taken some time to get some things from time to time, but we've eventually have received things. You know, one of the things that we did early on is because Procore wasn't in place yet, we have our own corporate repository. We call it Pardocs, which we just implemented here to become the repository of all the data that we were collecting because we needed someplace to start storing this. And we're working on a major data dump of migrating that over, which is going to take some time into Procore. So, but it's going to end up that we're going to have it all there. There's nothing specific that I can think of right now that we don't have that.
No, I just want to make sure everybody's being cooperative.
Everyone's
and,
playing nice in the sandbox.
Well, yes. Thank you. No, I'm glad to have you on board. It sounds like you've done a lot of good work, and the monthly report improvements that we've been working on, I look forward to continuing that. So.
Great. Thank you so much.
Nothing else?
Nothing else, sir.
Nothing before us. We'll call for an adjournment. Thank you all.
Thank you all.
Good news is,
Everything
no
has been
bad news.
architected to be more geodiverse and redundant.
I can't believe the